Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. Brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrow. I'm Anthony Mormino on a gray, overcast, foggy day 38. Hopefully the weather will play nice today. Maybe we'll get through. I have no idea.
I think it's supposed to be okay. But you're right. At this point, we're in one of those 50-50 kind of things. But their listeners on the turf. That's good news. We took off the finale yesterday with some rain that hit later in the card. Got in the Flower Bowl where it was the other Chad at a price. And for folks who were following the plays of the day, the Times Union wound up to be a nice little triple there because I thought that the other Chad was an interesting angle. Had it down in the third spot. Played the top three picks in the triple. As I say, it wound up to be okay, but led them on a merry chase all the way around.
2 years in a row.
Got it done at a big blow with Parnack last year.
Yeah. I think the longest price that day with Dylan Davis. Let's go to the front. It's not as if you've never seen this movie before. I mean, it's just amazing. Actually, the word I want to use is stupefying, but I'll use amazing for the moment. But it's how it goes. But more importantly, Seth, with 2 to play, we are 1 back. The Times Union.
That was a tough. I thought I had it in the bag yesterday because I went up 3-1 early, about the halfway point, and then Times Union had bright work and immersive to tie it up. And I thought I was in a good spot. I thought I was in a good spot when they said we're taking the last one off the turf because I had my dirt pick up on top. And then all of a sudden I realized, they're going into the mile shoot. And I was going to be in the 7 or the 8. And I thought, we got a good second. But
as I said, it's like the NHL in the 1970s. It's 13, 12, and 12 with 2 to play. So here we are. We're trying to make a Lazarus-like comeback.
It really is.
I saw on Twitter, it was posted we were down 8-1.
Yes.
I know we had some issues with counting early in the meet, which is not good for a newspaper. That's not good. You're supposed to be able to get the facts close, I guess. I don't know. But I didn't realize it was ever 8-1 because I thought it was 4-2 at one point. So
we were off to a slow start. 8-1 kind of surprised me too, but we were off to a slow start where we needed to come because with about 10 days left, we were saying mathematically we were in a tough spot. Right. I think we were about 3 or 4 down with 10. And so it was going to be rough, but we're right there, and it's me again today. So
we have a shot, as they say.
I have to.
There's nothing more you could ask for.
Make the magic happen today, and we'll see how that plays out. And if I make the magic happen today, I think it's Mike Callahan tomorrow who has to really make the magic happen to have us pull it out because we got to win the last 2 to win. So we'll see how it plays out.
I'll tell you one thing. It was so bad I would almost take the tie now. Yeah. It's like the old. 2 things it reminds you of. A famous college football game, 1968. Matter of fact, Tommy Lee Jones was in the game. Harvard scored 16 points in like 90 seconds. And the Harvard Crimson read, Harvard wins 29-29 versus Yale. And the other is Chevy Chase at Vegas Vacation. I didn't lose. After he's lost like 10 straight hands of blackjack. And he ties, he goes, I didn't lose. So we'll see if we can get there. So, interesting weekend. Last 2 days, like I said, and kudos to the Bright Work Camp, who I liked. I thought she was in a good spot. She's done. She's been sharp before. She missed the test, and she came back and she won the Prioress. And that's just really a fine job of horsemanship, John Ortiz, and the filly, has done well at Saratoga and off the Breeders' Cup race. She wins, almost in September. She gets her first race and she wins another graded stakes at the spot.
Have John Ortiz coming up on Loose on the Lead. And again, this is kind of an abbreviated edition of Handicappers Report because once again, it's 12:05 post time. So Talking Horses will go off at about 10:30. So we're going to do about 45 minutes here, and then about 9:45 we'll kick in with Loose on the Lead and go to about 10:30. But 10 o'clock, John Ortiz will join us. And you're right, what a magnificent training job off the Breeders' Cup. So it legitimately, even in this day and age, a long layoff. It was scheduled to go in the test, acted up in the paddock, was scratched. So they go to plan B, and they looked very good yesterday in the prior race. And then he almost follows it up with a win in the spin-away, running very well to be second there as well. So John Ortiz coming up a little bit later on. Don't forget, pick 3 bankrolls today. The entries are still open until noontime-ish or so. If you're thinking, jump on and put your name in, and we will randomly select the team a little bit later on. And hopefully, I will knock it out of the park today with the pick 3 bankroll.
A quick note, because I grew up loving this paper. The young man at the post is right there to beat the meat. I think he did it 2 years ago. He was close last year, and he has a real chance in these last 2 days to beat the meat, because our good friend Gene Kirschner is, in for me personally, is the most enviable spot in the sport, doing what we do. But I just wanted to, because I also didn't see when Andrew Champagne put on Twitter the ROI standings, he didn't have Vic in there, and at that point Vic was ahead of the meat. He was beating the meat. But 45-minute program today.
I'll say I ran into our friend the Brooklyn Cowboy. He's also looking to beat the meat. So.
That is enviable position. We'll see. Here's tonight's dinner. But the wives are involved tonight, so he'll be somewhat behaved. Mr. Bill, the leader of the Bill Mott fan club.
Nothing wrong with that.
Good morning. How are you? You have business for the house? Are you good?
I hit on the business. Pick 3 is
we're ready with the just fire away at the end here. The opener.
Oh, wait. Are we doing it to Paul, or is that coming up?
No, that's with you. Loose on the Lead, I'm told.
I wasn't told, so I didn't know.
Okay.
All right.
Your partner didn't tell you he'd be doing this show?
Well, I don't know if it's up to him so much as up to these guys.
Okay.
But I didn't hear one way or the other, so.
Yeah, it's live today.
Okay.
So 3-year-olds and up, maiden special weights, going 7/8 in the opener.
8, 6, 7, and 2 for me. I thought the 4 was also a little player. Quando with the big number last time might wind up being the one to beat. But I put Hurricane Nelson on top. Christophe Clement runner. I debated, because this horse is firmly stuck in the bridesmaid or bridal party mode with 5 starts, 4 seconds, and a third. So I was a little bit concerned about that. It just maybe has the lack of will to go push on by. But if this, it seems like eventually this type finds the field where they can push on by. I'll go there. Second spot, Escondido, Mark Hennig trainee. Debut was clearly good enough to mix it up in here. The follow-up, not so much, but had some trouble there. I'm going to rely more on that debut effort as being what this horse is all about. Duration in the third spot, first-time starter from Chad and Klarovich. Always have to pay attention to those. Matoli on top. Montalcino is also, to me, a player, the number 2. Some winnerly siblings. Had a sibling called La Polina that won the career debut, albeit at Century Mile in Canada. I don't know quite what to make of that class-wise, but did it at 6.5 furlongs. Paid a decent amount of money for this horse, but did it back in 2023 at a 2-year-old sale. So note that as well. But I have it 8, 6, 7, and 2.
I agree with you. I think sometimes the you don't hear it tossed around too much of, but the old seconditis type term. There are some horses that display that ability, but I call it the Aldebaran or Aldebaran angle, where remember he had like those 7 consecutive second place finishes. But the thing was, he was running, other horses were running really a top flight race of their career. Then the next year he won the sprint championship. And I think that's the case here with Hurricane Nelson, but we're going to get all the worst of it in the windows. I have Cherie DeVos, number 2, Montesino, coming in off good Keeneland works. And my guess is, Seth, they didn't want to wait till the Churchill Downs meet in a couple days. They're like, let's go now. And that's good enough for me. And then the 5. So 8-2-5 in the opener.
Race number 2 at Saratoga this afternoon. Again, they're currently scheduled on the turf. These are maiden specials going 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
I had this all between the 2 and the 9. The 2 draws the better post position, and that's where I went. Love Tempo making the 3rd career start with Flavien Prat going out for Brendan Walsh in the 3rd career start. Opulent Restraint got beat at odds on in the debut and now draws a worse post position, but is an offspring of one of my all-time favorites, Dabawi. And then Golden Gamble, number 3, first-time starter for Ken McPeak, 293.
9, 12, 2, and 6. The 1, if the 12 doesn't get in. 12 is a couple of deep on the AE list. Opulent Restraint, the Chad Brown trainee, with a race under the belt. Pretty good race. But I can see why you went with the post position because, again, yesterday I was saying you get out here on this mile and a 16th and it starts to get a little dicey. But it is Chad Brown, a runner with some experience, some good-looking experience. So I'll tilt slightly in that direction. If Magenta gets in, it's Pletcher and Rapoli off a couple of nice and improving efforts. But, again, this one would be stuck outside as well. On the inside, Love Tempo looks good off the nice improving efforts. One at Ellis, then comes up to Saratoga and just misses again with a step forward. Could be primed in the 3rd start. Good long cry, showed some speed last time. Could be a player for George Weaver in here. I have it 9, 12, 2, 6, and again the 1 if the 12 doesn't get in.
Up next, race number 3, entry level allowance, dashing 5.5 on the turf.
6, 3, 4, and 8. Determined effort for Todd Pletcher, Rapoli and company. Debuted last year, December, sprinting on the turf down at Gulfstream and did it successfully. Nice effort, solid number. Now has some time off. This is the kind I always think have the potential to come back even better, improve. Lightly raced as a 2-year-old or as a 3-year-old, then get some time off when they come back. We'll see. But if this horse just runs back to that last one is solid in here, much less moves forward. So we'll put determined effort on top. 2nd spot, Yarrow. This one is putting in some pretty solid numbers as compared to this bunch in the last few starts. Just been right up there knocking on the door, and I think is a player absolutely in here with this group. And then Alexis Zorba in the 3rd spot. It's a Mike Maker trainee, plenty of early speed, cuts back. And, of course, I think we all kind of feel like cutbacks on the turf maybe aren't quite as potent. But this one seems to have that early speed. Mike Maker, Manny Franco, there's enough there to lean in the direction of making this one very playable in the 3rd. 6, 3, 4, and 8.
7, 6, 1 for me. A real bomb in here. As the last week is, I'm not able to overcome week 4 and 5, but this last week has been going basically 2 for 12 and having a positive day. Spirits Mischief to me at 15-1. I'm happy to tag along. Hasn't raced this year, is listed as a first-time gelding. A Wesley Ward runner who has run well sprinting on the turf. And at 15-1, I'll sign up. Determined effort for Todd Pletcher is making the first start of the year. Takes on winners for the first time after winning on debut. But that style, I don't think is beneficial here. And he's 3.5-1. So I'll take the 4 times the price with good early speed. And then Cigarette Boat from the inside from Mike Maker, who's having a great meet. 7, 6, 1.
All right, time now for the dark horse play today. Yesterday, I was disappointed with Salted, given that Salted had run so well against Immersive. Immersive runs very well to win. Salted just never seemed to fire in there. So I was a little bit disappointed with yesterday's dark horse. But we'll see what we can do today because we're going to have according to the morning line, we have a big price. 7th race today at Saratoga. Maiden Specials going 7. I'm going to use number 5, McKinsey's Glory. Going out for Ken McPeak. Harold Lerner, part of the ownership group. Harold, of course, got into the game when, at the time, I think it was the biggest lottery score of all time down in New Jersey. It might have been the biggest in New Jersey, but won a big lottery down there and subsequently jumped in and has been a fun horse owner to watch. But they picked up this one at Keeneland back in 2023. Debuted up here at Saratoga going long on the turf. And I've had Kenny in here before, and he has said my horses are going to do better with a start under their belt as we get a little bit later in the season, late summer, early fall. This one had a little trouble in the debut. Didn't show a whole lot, but going long on the turf, I wonder if it wasn't one where let's get one under the belt. All the siblings have shown some early talent, mostly on turf, though. The Dam herself started running second and then first on dirt. Sibling called Escape Artist on turf, second, first, third, first. So again, win early. Another sibling called Stolen Magic, second on turf and debut, then third, and then one on the dirt in the third spot start. So it seems like most of the siblings were win early or early talent on turf, but there is a little dirt there. I think it's intriguing. They started 2 turns on the turf and now cut back in the second start, 7 furlongs. And again, the Ken McPeak horses will tend to benefit from a little experience, and we are getting a huge price on the morning line. And given what we saw in the debut, I think we'll hold with a huge price. So interesting scenario here to me. 7th race at Saratoga, our dark horse play of the day, number 5, McKinsey's Glory, brought to you by the Dark Horse Mercantile and Impressions of Saratoga, both in downtown Saratoga on Broadway. Stop by, say hello, enjoy a visit to both spots, and we appreciate their sponsorship of the Dark Horse Play of the Day.
We'll be right back.
More than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
It only takes one upset to make history, and now you can be part of Saratoga's long tradition at the Dark Horse Mercantile. The Dark Horse Mercantile offers a carefully curated selection of clothing, gifts, and home decor, from one-of-a-kind vintage racing memorabilia to select brands like Barber and Under Armour, as well as exclusive Dark Horse branded merchandise. So celebrate the Dark Horse in all of us at the Dark Horse Mercantile, downtown Saratoga, where the smart bet is always the Dark Horse. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on the penultimate Saratoga day. Sunday action coming up. We'll continue in the 4th. Conditional claimers going the 1-turn mile.
5, 4, 10. The Dylan
1.5 turn mile. Let me
the Dylan Davis turn, little dog leg, and then up the back stretch. And I think you're just seeing how rough it is to win from the outside, especially there haven't been many 10-horse fields. But I saw one jock. I think he had a plan, but he seemed to be determined the first 100 yards he was going to run dead straight, and then see what kind of parsed out where he could find something to do. And I'm going to be intrigued to see if they bring it back, because it does seem to be an edge, the old harness racing edge, we'll call it. 5, 4, 10 Cloud Forest. It's going to look different in the almanacs down the road, but Dylan Davis has had a once-in-a-decade type meet, in my opinion, at least how I look at it. This runner comes out of back-to-back starter allowances. I try and make my feelings clear that this, to me, Seth, is a huge drop from starter allowance to restricted claiming. Even if this was claiming 25, I'd be like, this is a big drop. But the 2L, Uncle Charlie's gift, Nick Zito, sends out this runner for the 3rd start of the year, back-to-back hitting the board at the Spa. And for 3rd, number 10, Ice Time. Tom Amis claimed this horse for $30,000 in the old worst-case scenario, wins the maiden claiming race, 5, 4, 10.
I used the 5 too, but the drop here raises concerns because that horse hasn't raced since January. Now they come back for the lower tag. So I could have gone either way with this one, but what helped was there's a 2 entry. So the number 5 will leave from post 4. We've talked the last week and a half or so about 1 through 4 coming out of the chute seem to have an edge. So I went there. I have a few at the bottom of my mix. That one also taking a little bit of a suspicious drop perhaps, but gets the 1 post position. Second spot for me though, Smile Mon. certainly has the talent. The last race was a little bit of a concern, but it seems like an aberration given to what this horse normally does. But now that we drop off of that one, again, has the big question mark for me. But on talent down the page, might be the one to beat, but gets hung outside. Waitlist in the third spot. Safi Joseph, who's having very good meet, drops off the claim. Irad Ortiz on board. It's Ken Ramsey. With Ken Ramsey as the owner, maybe the drop isn't as much of a concern. Likes a win up at Saratoga, perhaps, but also does have that question mark. It's an intriguing bunch in here with post positions and the class question marks. In the fourth, though, for me, 5, 9, 7, and 1.
On to the fifth race, right outside of our front windshield. 4-year-olds it up. In for 16.
13, 5, 4, and 1. 13, Gangley, going out for our friends at America's Pastime Local Ownership Group. John Kimmel trainee off the claim. They take a little dip off the claim. Ran for 20,000 in that last race. The number went backwards a little bit, and the finishing position was a little bit disappointing. Now comes back first time gelding and does drop down, half a step down the claiming ladder. I think on talent, again, down the page, may wind up being the one to beat, but we're going to find out more about that last race performance today. Unfortunately, we don't find out till after the race, but I'll put that one on top. Second spot, Critical Threat. Irad Ortiz on board for Rob Falcone. Another one that has some numbers if you go down the page a little bit. Third start back off a little bit of a layoff earlier this year. A couple of starts up here at Saratoga. Has been very popular at the claim box, and it's essentially a claim back for Rob Falcone. He was training for a different owner, though, but claimed and moved back into the Falcone barn for a Flying P. So should be a real player in here with the scenario and the connections. And then Bourbon Calling in the third spot, clunked last time and comes back off the claim. But another one, there are numbers down the page. So it's, what do you make of that last effort? They come back for the same tag as the claiming price. Interesting. Again, another one where there's some head scratchers in here that you have to kind of parse through and decide what you want to make of some of the moves and whatnot. But in the fifth, for me, 13, 5, 4, and 1.
Yeah, and I agree with the head scratching angle. And my thought there is, if the favorites don't pop out, you think it's that wide open, don't come back and settle at a short price. And I'm 5-1-3. Critical Threat to me is in this mix. I mean, I don't think this is the toughest claiming 16,000. And this is the third start in a cycle that I like. I'm not so sure. April to July, Seth, for me, that's in that 90-day window where I'm almost like that. I think in today's day, that would be a layoff. Big effort, regression. Now we move forward. Classic mark at a big price from the inside. The good early speed going a mile now shortens up to 7/8. If we can get some type of breather, from say the 5 furlong pole to the half-mile pole, and then Market Alert, the other Rob Falcone, 5-1-3 in the fifth.
Sixth race this afternoon, we're looking at maiden 40 claimers. Again, 8.5 on the turf.
What race are we on?
We're on the sixth, right?
On the turf, right?
Yeah, six,
okay.
8.5 on the turf.
Yes, okay. So I'm in a bad position here because I had some serious knocks on the inside horses, and I'm on the outside, and the serious knock there is, the run into the first turn. But as I said yesterday, I feel as if you get fairer runs day in and day out on the melon versus the inner. So that's what I'm hoping. Full field, the main body is 12, 2 also eligibles. I'm 7, 11, 10. Now, 2 of my 3 are big prices, which I think is the part where you ask more questions at bigger prices. And Get Ready to Rock, who's an offspring of More Than Ready. I've made my feelings well known on him. First start of the year, the race at the Spa last year on the inner at a mile 16 was solid until just fatiguing and, backing up. Well, we're 20-1 on the morning line. We have displayed some early tactical speed. If we use that and we get good position, I'll take my chances at 20-1. Adventurous Spirit, first time in for the tag for the Todd Pletcher runner. First start since June 2nd. 8-5 on the morning line, which I understand, but you're in the 11, Bose. And then Hard Scholar, the 10, who's also first time in for a tag. This is a big reach for me. This is solely based on the fact that the grandsires are Danzig and elusive quality. 7, 11, 10.
11, 12, 1, and 4. The 9, trying the turf array handle is intriguing at 12-1 with Dylan Davis on board. Wouldn't argue anyone off the 9. But I'm stuck on the outside. But these two horses look pretty good. And, you start to get clever and say, oh, they're outside, I'm going to go inside. And then they wind up beating you. So I went with Adventurous Spirit on the maiden special weight to maiden claiming move for Todd Pletcher with enough talent to think that this class move will be beneficial. But does have to overcome the post position. Hedge the risk going out for Chad and Klarovich. Maiden special weight to maiden claiming. And again, finds a field in here that I think is interesting and goes to the turf in an interesting move for a trainer who can certainly have them ready with a move like this. And Guile in the 3rd spot off the claim for Mike Maker. Claimed out of a similar event class-wise, but was an off-the-turf event. The turf race 2-back was okay. I think the horse will be a player in here with Irad on board. 11, 12, 1, and 4.
All right, take a quick break. When we come back, a mandatory payout pick 5.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Race number 7. 2-year-old fillies, open company, maiden special weights, racing 7/8.
5, 3, 9, and 4. And again, I got down to the bottom and a quick kick the 1. Wouldn't talk anyone off of that one for Tommy Amos in the 2nd start. But again, I talked about this one earlier for my dark horse play of the day, McKinsey's Glory. Just an interesting scenario. Debuted long on the turf, now sprints on the dirt. Siblings were win early, more probably turf, but there was some dirt there as well. I think it's, as I say, an interesting scenario from Ken McPeak, whose horses do tend to improve perhaps with a little experience. Snow White in the 2nd spot, Danny Gargan runner that is by Good Magic. Good Magic firsters, 54 of them so far this year, 9 wins, 6 seconds, 10 thirds. So good win early from the sire. The dam produced a sibling called Santos Dumont, 2nd debut, won the 2nd start. So a little win early, top and bottom. I would think the horse will be well meant today. And then Soothe in the 3rd spot, sibling called Timeout. 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 3rd, 2nd in the first, the 5 career starts, only had 5 starts, but was in the money in all of those. Bill Mott can have them ready, tap it on top. Soothe seems like a first-time starter worth paying attention to as well. In the 7th, 5, 3, 9, and 4.
It's not my mix, but did you have walking around knowledge that Good Magic was $125,000 stud fee?
No.
That seems like 150% high. I did not realize he's been that. I mean, Tappett's a $185 near the end of his. Well, Tappett sired Flightline, so that's good enough for me and the other billion horses he's had. But I didn't think Good Magic was. The reason I bring that up for our casual fans is you break the 6-figure mark, that's supposed to be rarefied air. Maybe Good Magic. And by the way, I've also said this before. I thought for a moment that the Mr. Prospector line was passe, but it runs through Curlin now. And if Good Magic is $125, it might be running through Good Magic. I'm 481 here. All the fields, an offspring of Into Mischief. Todd Pletcher's runner for Spendthrift, who I believe campaigned Into Mischief. I think Into Mischief was a Spendthrift horse. I ever tell you this? The Into Mischief has one of the most interesting race records. I think he only ran 8 times. The 4 times he was favored, he lost. 4 times he wasn't the chalk, he won. Go figure. Going Steady, my second choice for the coach, making the 3rd career start. And then from the rail, Quick Kick. Tom Amos's runner as blinkers for the 2nd start, 481.
Race number 8 this afternoon. We're looking at optional claimers with the non-winners of 2 other than condition on the side. A mile on the grass.
Haven't been enough of these, in my opinion. 6, 10, and 5 for me. And Tim Hill sends out the 6 off of just a difficult race on first weekend. So I'm thinking Saturday. The first Saturday of the meet was nearly 50-1. Ran better than odds. We'll see about today. Capture the Flag. I talked about this name yesterday to the children's game, unlike King of the Hill. I loved Capture the Flag. Very sharp right now. Todd Pletcher's runner, very good, going a mile down at Aqueduct. One of the easier things for handicappers is the Aqueduct racing surfaces, circumference is very much like Saratoga. Then Mark Cassie sends out the 5. Toshin Wish making the United States debut, 6, 10, 5.
I have a 3, 10, 11, and 2. I put Paros on top. The question mark here is class. It was claimed last time for 40. Moves into the Mike Maker barn. Irad Ortiz hops on board. But you go down the PPs a little bit. The last 3 times this horse tried this company, not successful at all. But they were maybe a little bit different. There was a 7 furlong. There was an off the turf. And then the mile try down at Belmont at Aqueduct. It wasn't that bad, actually. So the last 2 starts maybe indicate the horse is in better form right now. I think the return to this company is not going to prove to be an obstacle. That's what I'm hoping. Capture the Flag in the 2nd spot. Todd Pletcher, Flavian Prad, a horse that's in very good form. Off the turf for last time was okay, but on the turf 2 back was a nice win. So returns to the grass today. You would think that'll be beneficial. And first on the AE list is Kalick for Chad Brown and company. I think this horse is an absolute player, dropping in for the tag this afternoon, has shown some class throughout the career. And again, with the potent connections, we'll put that one in the mix. And if we get a scratch, we'll pull in. In the 8th, 3, 10, 11, and 2.
9th race, 7 furlongs, 3-year-olds and up. Nobody in for a tag, so a 2X.
1, 2, 6, and 4. St. Benedict's Prep on top, has a lot of early positional speed. Can be right in the hunt throughout. That's, you would have to think, going to be the game plan. Likes this trip, 7 furlongs. 7 furlongs kind of a specialty. In this one, 5 exacta finishes in 6 starts at the 7 furlongs. Phil Bauer and Rigney Racing having a spectacular meet, and so you absolutely have to pay attention to this one. Came in from a win at Churchill to just miss last time as the beaten favorite. Becomes very dangerous off that this afternoon. And Flying P, again, Jay Provenzano having a good meet, and he has Cupid's Heart in here. Hasn't been seen since Belmont at Aqueduct down at the end of June, but overall has had a pretty good career. 9 times in the money in 10 career starts, including a win last time. So should be primed for a good effort again today. I have it 1, 2, 6, and 4.
And I misspoke. Royal Poppy is in for the tag. The other 8 are in under the allowance conditions. 4, 2, 7. I guess you have to go way back, Seth, to Ringy Dingy, right? 1 Ringy Dingy, 2 Ringy Dingy.
Lily Tomlin, exactly.
And one of the.
I'm surprised it's not an Al Gold horse with that name.
Okay. What would be the word? Transcendental shows in the history of television? I mean, it was.
Laughing.
I mean, it really.
It changed how humor was
presented on TV. I mean, it really was. So Riggy Dingy making the 3rd start of the year. First time Lasix. I like the most recent effort of the Delaware Oaks. That was at 2 turns, 8.5, shortens up. I find Katie Davis and the 8-1 to be I'm very attractive for this runner. Mighty Madison for Phil Bauer, who, what Phil was funny was, what was it, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, skipping a year, he was sensational. He was like 3 for 4 right away. This one was like, it was like 0 for 2, 0 for 3. And then the white hot streak began. And then signal from Noise, Chad Brown's runner, making the third start off the layoff in June, ran well, regressed. Now we move forward 4-2-7 in the ninth.
How about this transformational? Because comedy before was more the Honeymooners, I Love Lucy, Beverly Hillbillies. There wasn't any kind of sketch comedy, and that's more what that was. Quick hitters.
And they were certainly not politically, they were completely different. I mean, Laugh-In brought in I don't want to say, but more adult-like and but it was something. And then what was Dan Rowan smoking on TV? Right, I think that was right. You were allowed to do it, etc. We'll be right back.
For more than 4 generations, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued the 102-year tradition of delighting their local following and faithful summer crowd with the finest authentic Italian recipes. Classic Italian dishes made with the freshest ingredients, served in a home-like setting. Some things have changed in the last 102 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
The only thing better than watching the races is watching your own racehorse. With nearly 20 years experience in the racing industry, Bonaventure Stables' share-based ownership program enables everyday fans to become part owner of a thoroughbred for far less than you might think, with all the ownership perks at Saratoga, Belmont, Aqueduct, and other great tracks. Experience the thrill and lifestyle of owning your own thoroughbred racehorse. Learn more at bonaventurestables.com.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Sunday, last Sunday up here at Saratoga. If you haven't been yet, get up. You have 2 days left. Oh, today is Windbreaker giveaway day as well. So,
I wanted to bring that up. I'm not a Windbreaker guy.
That's the one thing I want. But
you want the Windbreaker?
I'm going to throw it in the back of the car for like a rainy day or something.
Okay. I remember fighting my parents when I was a kid, losing that fight. I'm like, I don't want to wear a Windbreaker. I was never a Windbreaker guy.
Just like I say, put it in the back of the car for if there's a funky kind of a day, you've got it there ready to roll.
All right.
10th race.
I trust it's red?
No. I think it's gray. I think.
Not a color I associate with Saratoga, but okay.
10th race today, state-bred optional claimers, non-winners 2 other than 5.5 on the grass.
975 taking a real flyer here. Big prankster for Christophe Clement. We're on the outside. We've shown good early speed of late. That has been not on the turf, but Manny Franco gets the call. We get a big price here for second set, number 7. And it's not a Claiborne runner. They like those one-syllable names. Wore my Claiborne sport coat yesterday. Exits the quick call and the Penn Mile. Drops down in here. The state bred should be very, very tough to beat. And then Jimmy Bond sends out the 5 with Javier. Well, we'll have a change it. I suspect Javier is not going to be on his mounts again today, but
I don't know.
We'll wait for the news there. Muscle soreness, I'd be thinking, but 975 after that spill.
There you go. It's black. Windbreaker.
Okay, certainly not a color
I like it. I'm going to get over and grab one. For me in the 10th, 7, 4, 2, and 8 set on top. I wonder if in the years past there wasn't a set from Claiborne. As names can, if you don't reach the top upper echelon, your name can be used again after a certain number of years. And it wouldn't surprise me if that was one in their mix. But goes out for Mark Cassie off a string of stakes races. Now gets back to the more proper level. That should be beneficial. Second spot, Seaver, also stepping out of a stakes race most recently, but it's been in and around this type of company previously, and I think is going to be a good mix with this particular bunch. And Run Curtis Run of a decent number last time on the move up to Saratoga. 3 starts back was here at Saratoga, Belmont at Saratoga meet, and ran very well. we get back to that one, watch out for Run Curtis. Run 7, 4, 2, and 8.
Now, this next race is the ultimate race of the old man get off my lawn for me, because for many years, and I'm talking generation, this was the premier turf race at Saratoga, the Bernard Baruch. And it was a grade 1 for a couple of runnings in the late 80s. And now it's a listed stakes race. So it went from being the one turf race of note for the boys at Saratoga, the Diana for the girls. The Diana's gone up to a grade 1, the Bernard Baruch.
5, 4, 7, and 1. I'll put Running B on top. Chad Brown trainee comes out of a 6th in the United Nations, but won the Monmouth just prior to that. And I think that race 2 back is more likely the form we can expect from Running B. Pioneering Spirit. I liked this horse last time in the Sword Dancer. Ran 4th. Was not a badly beaten 4th, less than 5 lengths, but in a short field behind Farbridge. Let me find this company more to his liking. And then in the 3rd spot, Taking Candy, lightly raced for Cherie DeVoe. Good second in the Saranac last year. Comebacker off of that Saranac, came back early in July and ran a winning race here in Optional Claiming Company. I think could be set up to run very well this afternoon. 5, 4, 7, and 1.
In the main body, Seth, we have them all covered but the deuce. 6, 1, 3 for me, and Steady On. We have to step forward. I mean, we have to supersede the 92, which was run off of the layoff. That we had the little give back, and now it's time to really step up. We need to step up. We need to run. To me, Running B is the only horse in the race that has run clearly, regularly better numbers than Steady On. So Steady On to me is in the mix of the second flight, and it's almost a Mount Everest for me, the Running B line. And if that's the case, I Steady On is going to be a price 8-1 in the morning line. Is going to get, I think, good position in this race with Flavian. And for second, Fort Washington from the rail, I'm throwing out the UN at marathon distance. And then Rebel Red, I almost put this horse on top for Cherie DeVoe. I think it's going to be heck to pay in here. In what I know it's only a 7-horse field, but I have 6 could win it. 6, 1, 3.
Race number 12, the Jockey Club Gold Cup, grade 1, $1 million up for grabs. They'll go 1.25 miles.
Does it feel like the $1 million is
you put it up before the field's picked? Let's put it that way.
I know. That's why I believe in revising purses and revising graded stakes action afterwards. 6, 7, 1 for me. I see we have some similar, but Arthur's Ride trying to put 3 Herculean efforts in a row. More power to him doing it. The race runs through Arthur's Ride. Might be 3-5, might be 2-5. I don't know, but the race goes through him. I'm just taking a stab here at a runner I thought that could wake up and maybe run a 105 and get the job done. Arthur's Ride on a roll, and then Tapit Trice making only the 2nd start since last year's Travers.
7, 1, 3, and 5. I did put Arthur's Ride on top. Won at the 1.25 miles, 2 back, and with a number that you thought, I don't know what to make it, and followed it up with the win in the Whitney. So I'll land there. Tapit Trice, I think, very interesting. Off the last couple of starts, came back from a long layoff and put in a triple-digit buyer in the Monmouth Cup. And off of that effort, I think, has to be paid attention to, and bright future for Todd Pletcher. Better than we saw in the Whitney, I think. I'm going to look for this horse to potentially rebound at a little bit of a price and at least be in the mix. I have it 7, 1, 3, and 5.
That was bad. Wrapping up the 13th race at approximately 6:48. Maiden Claimer State Breds going 7.
Rooting for Landauer. Our pal Steve Bick will be here in a couple of minutes. His DT Stables owns that one. I put it down a little bit in my mix. I have it 8, 5, 3, and 9. I put Mama's Midi on top. Comes in off a race here at Saratoga that was a pretty good near miss at this level. Should benefit from that. 2nd slot, Irie comes in off a 3rd place finish behind Mama's Midi last time, and likely to be a contender again. And Neptune Beach. Last few races weren't much. Rudy's going well. I thought the numbers this horse fired, maybe if you go down the page a little bit, are okay. They had the blinkers today. Maybe that'll make a difference. At a price, I thought this horse a little bit intriguing. 8, 5, 3, and 9.
Arch on the bottom side for me, getting to the turf for the first time. Landauer, and then Iron Man going out for Charlie Baker, and Mama's Mitty, Mike Baker's runner. Take it away. 9, 5, 8 in the finale.
All right. Don't forget, Windbreaker Day up here. Free with admission while supplies last. Pick 3 bankroll today, Capital OTB. Put your name in the hat to potentially get on the bankroll team. It'll close up fairly shortly, so jump on it. Put your name in the hat. And coming up next, it is Loose on the Lead. Steve Bick is in the house. We'll have John Ortiz, who won yesterday with bright work in the Prioress and just missed in the quiet side in the spin away. And overall, having a really good meet with limited starters. So all of that coming up shortly. Stay tuned.
All right.
This has been the Handicappers Report, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. And the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook.